today's day and age, we focus so much on how much money we can spend on gifts and making sure we got a gift for everyone, that it becomes a huge amount of stress in a time that we're supposed to be using as relaxation and hope and waiting. And it becomes just about gifts when we should be focusing on a lot more, not just Christmas. We have to think of Advent as a time of waiting, and it's a time of hope that we have to think about.
I don't like it. I think that it really takes away from what Christmas actually means to a lot of people. I think that it spreads a lot of misinformation too, and so it leads to a very surface level understanding of what Christmas is. Like, most people don't know, like, they hear Advent, they think Advent calendars. Certainly for a long time, that's what I thought of when somebody said Advent. And I think that it's really unfair, really, to those people who are really celebrating this holiday. I think that it is a way for companies to make money, and there's a reason they chose Christmas, is because there is a large number of Christians, and then outside of that, now they've developed this following of people who celebrate it regardless, right? And we get the holiday off. So I think that it's really just about making money, and I think it's really kind of gross.
Growing up in Egypt, we celebrated Christmas on the 7th of January, which is the Orthodox Christmas. During Advent and the time leading up to Christmas, we tried to really focus on our faith and really deepen our faith and work on our faith, and we really try to focus on the second coming of Jesus and the birth of Jesus to really understand the Bible more and get closer to God during this time. Moving to Canada, Christmas, and we noticed that it was more consumer based, with Santa and opening gifts, and of course everybody loves opening gifts, but our family tried to keep the tradition of really working on our faith and getting closer to God during the time of Christmas and Advent.
When I think of consumer or capitalist Christmas, I think that it takes away from the true meaning of Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ. Christmas becomes too focused on Santa and presents and the commercialization of Christmas, and it becomes a lot about what we get rather than what we can give.
I feel like as a society, we put too much stress on buying the perfect gift and how much money we spend on the gift, where we should be focusing on why we buy the gifts and who we're buying them for. It's not just about who can have the best gift. It's a little bit more than that.
Christmas in my life is fairly capitalistic and consumerist, though I don't really love it. One of the ways that I show my love is through giving gifts. And in the past couple of years, I have tried to turn that into supporting local business and buying secondhand. But ultimately, I'm still buying gifts for so many people, and I wish that wasn't as big of a part of our culture these days.
I've always been a fan of giving gifts, but the idea that gifts have to cost a certain amount of money to be a good gift is just wrong. We buy expensive gifts with no thought in them, just we have to spend a lot of money on them, just because we feel like we have to. Some of the best gifts I've ever gotten have cost little to almost no money, but they mean way more sometimes just because they came from the heart and people thought about them and they mean something.
I think it's really about the aesthetic Christmas rather than actually thinking and reflecting about what the Christmas season means. And I think it just becomes more about what you're gonna get, and it's more stress, and you know, it's not supposed to be a stressful time. That's not what you're supposed to be thinking about, right? You're not supposed to be thinking about how much you're going to spend on somebody, how much somebody's going to spend on you, what you're going to get this person. Like, that's not what this time is about.
Working in retail, I see so many people freaking out around Christmas time about trying to find the right gift for everybody that they need to. And I think it's just crazy, because to me the best part about giving gifts is that you're able to just find, it's one of the ways you're able to show people that you care about them and that you're thinking about them, no matter how small the gift is. It's just one of those ways, and I think a lot of people just go so overboard on it with all the commercialization and just thinking that they have to get people the greatest gift ever. And it's really not about that. It's just about appreciating the people around you, whether that's through gifts or through time or words of affirmation, whatever it is. I think people focus too much on gifts.
I feel like the most important thing we can do is keep the Christ in Christmas. I've always really liked that saying because I feel like it conveys a very deep and important message in a very simple way. So when it comes to the big presents you're buying, the big companies you're buying from, and the big events you're planning, think about why you're doing it. Is it rooted in love? Is it rooted in spreading the message? Always remember why we're celebrating and make sure it's never forgotten.
In terms of our family making Advent about Santa and or Jesus, I would say that we do a good job of making it both about Santa and Jesus. We still get presents on Christmas morning, and my dad really loves Santa, so we have a lot of Santa figurines and decorations in our house. But at the same time, we always read the Advent stories, we light our Advent wreath, and we talk about the true meaning of Christmas. Our family always tries to give more than we receive, which I think can relate to both Santa and Jesus.
As a kid, Santa was always what I thought about when I thought about Christmas. But as I've gotten older, I've really started to focus more on the religious side of this Christmas season. So like Christmas Eve service, the season of Advent, those are the kind of things have definitely become more important to me as I've grown up.
As a kid, my life was basically both Santa and Jesus. My mom always likes to tell this story of when I was 5, and instead of playing house at daycare, I played nativity. I was Mary, another little boy was Joseph, and my baby doll was baby Jesus. But also at the same time, we got Christmas presents from Santa. In fact, actually, until my mom was in her 50s, my grandma, sent in the mail presents labeled from Santa, and I always thought that was a little special, keeping the magic alive, even as an adult.
I like to think Jesus and Santa are really good friends. So when you think about Jesus and Santa, they are both all about giving, and that's what Christmas is all about. Santa spends his entire night giving presents to all the kids in the world. It doesn't matter what he's giving, it's the fact that he has taken it upon himself to be the one to give all the presents, and I think that's really sweet. Jesus, on the other hand, is also all about giving, maybe in a less material way. Think about all the stories about Jesus that you hear in the Bible. He's always giving, even when he doesn't have much left to give, and I think that's an important thing to keep in your mind as you think about the Christmas season.
I think you have to have a certain balance when it comes to Jesus and Santa for Christmas. For my family specifically, Christmas Eve is always very important in my house. We all go to church as a family, and my extended family as well. And after church, we all come back to a house, and we don't worry about gifts. It has nothing to do with Santa or Christmas or gifts or anything. It's just spending time together as a family and enjoying each other's company.
Santa is not a religious figure. He's just a guy. He is part of commercial Christmas. Once they realized that so many people were involved and celebrating this holiday, it was part of how they commercialized it, right? And how they made it appealing to other people who don't actually celebrate Christmas. And Advent. And I think that for some time I did, obviously, like my parents, I thought that Santa was real. I was a kid, and it's just something that's a default now. And then it's interesting because it has nothing to do with the actual religious holiday. And I think that it used to be, for me, more about Santa, but now it's definitely not. I definitely have a better understanding now of what Advent is and what the Christmas holiday is about. And so it's shifted from that more commercialized understanding of it and celebration of it to a more religious celebration of it. It's definitely more about Jesus now than it ever was for me before. Not saying that when I was little and it was about Santa, that it wasn't ever about Jesus also. It was just mostly about Santa. and now we've shifted to mostly about Jesus.
Advent for me and my family is really interesting because Santa and Jesus are split. We celebrate St. Nicholas Day and December 6th, and that's when we exchange stockings. And then Christmas is just more about church and Jesus, and it's really focused on that, and we don't really exchange gifts then. We exchange gifts then again in January, on January 6th for Epiphany Day. And so it's a nice way to be able to keep Santa separate from Jesus, because all the gift giving occurs at a totally different time.
During this time of waiting, I'm grounded by all of the blessings I've received in my life, like my family, my school, my warm house, my job, my country, and my church, of course. I have blessings upon blessings, and I'm in for yet another one as I prepare to hear the story once again of our Savior being born.
For me, waiting is always really hard, whether I'm waiting to finish the semester, or waiting to see my exam grade, or waiting to hear back for a job opportunity I applied for. It's always a really tough time for me because I always overstress it, and I think too much about it, and it just stresses me out. So the way I try to cope with it is find joy in something else, or whether it's spending time with the family to get my mind off of it, or enjoying a hobby that I like, whether it's playing music or soccer or whatever I can do to get my mind off of it, so that way I don't have to stress about it too much.
As the seasons change and I start to spend more time indoors, I always, without even thinking about it, start a new project and I learn a new skill. This year, I'm making a sweater. Doing this helps me stay connected to the world around me because I'm not spending all my time on the internet and trying to get away from the world.
What grounds me through this season of waiting is the excitement of Jesus Christ coming. As well, Christmas is a time for giving and spending time with those you love. So I can wait, knowing that I'm going to get to spend time with the people that I cherish the most, along with getting to see the birth of Jesus Christ.
I find it's really grounding just to be able to find little pockets of time through Advent to just sit down with friends or family or myself and just take time to watch a holiday movie, listen to some music, play some video games, go for a walk, see the lights, just find time to relax and reflect and just enjoy this season as we deal with all the stress of the winter. It's just really, really grounding to be able to find times to just slow down and relax.
The third question is one that I think is kind of hard because I am trying to think of what grounds me in general. The question is, what grounds you through Advent? And I think the reason that I'm having such a hard time with this question is because I don't feel grounded right now. And maybe that's something that I need to do. Maybe that's something that I need to think about. I think that we've started doing the little Advent packages that are really cute. It has like a list. It has one thing to do every single day, starting from December 1st all the way up until Christmas Eve, of things to do and activities that have you thinking about what the season of Advent is and what we should be, what our focus really should be during this time. And that's really grounded me, especially since working in retail is really hard to feel grounded around this time because it's all about buying things, and that's just not what it's actually supposed to be about. But yeah, that's what, yeah, I would say that really just going through those nightly activities is helpful for sure in grounding grounding me during the season.
This time of year can be really stressful, especially as we get closer to Christmas and all that stuff. There's just so much going on, getting ready, getting prepared, and between church services, family gatherings, just so much going on. It's hard to not get stressed out. So I've always found, for me at least, when it's getting real bad, I'm getting stressed out, I just try to take a day and just not worry about all this stuff and just take a night off, watch a movie, and just take care of life and not worry about Christmas and there's all this season for a couple minutes. And it always helps calm me down and keep me a little more stress-free.
I think most years it's a little bit easier to stay grounded than it is right now. Normally, you get to go to church on Sunday and celebrate the season of Advent with like-minded people, and you get to see people you know and connect in that way. This year's been a lot harder for everybody, but a lot of it's just staying and trying to focus, and even something as small as an Advent calendar, just to help center yourself and bring you back to why we celebrate Christmas and Advent as a whole.